morning, it's Bill with Bill's Never Ending Projects. We're after the 4th and it took a couple days, but it cooled down. And I've got a lawnmower I'm going to tell you about that has given me trouble since I bought it. And let me get the camera and I'll do a close-up of the rewind where it's got the motor number on it. Okay, this is the Powermore. It's a 20-inch, and that's the 21 that we bought. I had an ad in. Anybody wanted to give me a free lawnmower, and somebody, when I was picking up a Craftsman riding mower, threw this one on, and I realized, yes, I want that because it's the same motor as on my 21-inch push mower. And so this one says it's a 139cc. The only number they give you is that tiny little number there. And mine says D1. I don't know what that number means even. That's it. That tiny little number there. I think mine says D15505A or something like that.
OOAC.
500A or something like that. But I don't know that number means anything. This is pretty much the engine it is, 139cc Powermore. They go by this Powermore premium overhead valve engine. And yeah, the parts one here is a 20-inch. This one is a 21-inch. And yeah, that little number says, on this one says, it says that, which is D155.
Nope, 56.
94AC. But again, I don't know that that number means anything. And they both end with that AC. But it's this 139 in the Powermore. Their overhead valve. What my problem is right now is the rewind. I've had to take it off the handle and put the thing right to here and start it with my foot. So then, obviously can't hold the handle down, so I got this wired up to break. It's frayed. It's going to break. So we're going to strip this one off the parts more. And then, I mean, it's kind of working to pull it. It's just I think it's going to break every time I pull it. And so it's the carburetor. For some reason, this cover won't stay on without a piece of tape, even though it's got this clip thing. It comes off when I'm mowing. Here's the type of air cleaner it is. So to take that off later, it's going to be this bolt, that bolt,
Not.
and that bolt. But and the problems with the carburetor are the nozzle. That every year since around 2010 or so when we bought this, it's 2023, so we've at least had this 13 to 15 years. Every time we leave it sit over 2 weeks, you have to take this bowl off. Hitting it don't do any good because the needle and seat's not stuck. But taking the bowl off and just putting it back on makes it run. I never could understand it. And then somebody told me that they made the once you get into the bottom, they're going to have a jet nozzle and emulsion tube. So I got to take out that jet, make sure it's clean, and I got to take out that emulsion tube and then blow out all the little holes in it. And then I got to do the slow jet, because it also have to poke it out with a little piece of copper wire. And I've even went as far as to drill that jet out because somebody said they just made it a little too small. So I even bought the drill bits. That were the miniature ones to just do the next size up. And then I thought I had it. And no, that wasn't it. And then I even wrote on here, choke that way. So that means, and they don't give you a choke on here. But I mean, this is a choke because I've watched where the linkage goes. It does hook to a choke. I don't know if it's supposed to automatically work or something, but it doesn't ever turn on. So then I shoved something in between here to keep this on, and then I had some luck getting it started after if I would use it all the time. But right now it won't start with this on. It won't start. I think I even went as far as to pull this off like I used to. This bowl. And then still wouldn't start. So this time we're going to take all we're going to take out the slow nozzle, slow adjustment. We're going to take out the emulsion tube and the jet nozzle, and every time you do it, you can just eyeball the needle and see it. That's not been the problem. So right now, I am going to get this rewind off this one and put it on the other one. I'm going to put it on pause here while it's a 10 millimeter, and I'm going to take out these 3 bolts. And see, I don't think this one's any good because it won't pull. But it's got a good rope, so I'm going to see if I can steal the rope from it and keep the spring wound up. I will update. Also, this Powermore model number is well, I wrote it down here in magic marker so I don't have to read it. It's 11A02 JV 006. And this one's 11A HD JC031 for what it matters. I mean, all they do is put this little tag down here on the left side of the deck area. And same with this one, and this is a Powermore. Somebody cut off the tire by cutting through the deck part. But they left enough of the serial number on there. That's it, 11A02JV006. And that one there, $11AADJC031 MTD thing. But anyway, it's a mower we bought, I'm sure, 10, 15 years ago. And it probably was from Walmart. I'm sure it was somewhere in the $100 range. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can get the rope out of this one and get it in. Okay, let's get this off. I think it's on record again. See what what socket I'm using. Yeah, it's a 10. That's what I thought. Now the last thing I want this to do is unwind. Do I know the first thing about not making it unwind? Sort of, maybe. Didn't unwind, so. And it's pulling, different than that other one. So then I think I should only have to pull it all the way out, untie that knot, do the same to that one, put that rope on and then let it go in. So I'll bring it back in a second. Okay, this one's 11 millimeter. I gotta get this off to get the rope through here. Turns out that thing is bent so far, it won't clear the pipe, so somebody's bent that. I'm going to get a vice grip. Let's see how to bend this up. I don't want to wreck the cable. I see on the other one, you just take the bolt off and pound it out. So this has to go down. It's the only way it's going to come out. But this vice grip won't fit in there. So it's just going to slip. Oh, it bent. There it is. I don't know, I suppose I could put the parts back on here, in case I ever want it. Okay, so we got this on. We got the whole thing detached from the lawnmower. My guess here is, if I keep this is the way I found it. This is the way it was on the Powermore. This little center thing seems to be over a shaft. Of course, it has to be over something to spin. So I'm going to wiggle it. Keep pulling. There. Oh, is that shaft rusty? Well, we just want to get the knot out. So I'm going to put it on pause while I get the knot out. Or I'll cut it off a little. Good way to get pinched here. I used 2 needle nose. These needle noses can pinch you. So I just got it pulled through like any knot, and it seems like they didn't light it. They didn't light it with a lighter and melt it together or anything, so I am able to get that out without losing any. Okay, so let's pull this one out. Let's pull this one out. There's the frayed part I told you about. Yeah, it's so frayed. Hopefully I can pull it out without it breaking. There the big piece came again. I gotta get hold of that before it breaks. Got it. So it looks like we will be able to pull it all the way out. The spring's getting real tight now. There I am. So what do I gotta do? I gotta somehow there I'm straight away. So I somehow gotta lock this, maybe by putting a screwdriver or a piece of metal through here. And that's what I'll do. I'll go find one. Here I was able to put a tie on there. I'm not even gonna tie it so I don't waste one, but that might be a mistake. Oh, yeah, just when I set it, it almost went past. Of course, the cord wasn't unhooked yet, so yeah, you better tie this tie. I gotta get it back out of there again with a needle nose, and this time I should tie it, because it is a tie. Which I'll do. I put a double one in there. It did seem to take up a lot of room until I tucked it down in there. So, just hope for the best. Now I gotta cut this yellow thing. I gotta get the side cutters. There, got it out. Now let's see what happens. Should just wind up in the spring. Should still be intact wound. Yep. Okay. Should have a non-thread working rewind again. So, let's see what I got to do there to. The decal would go to the front. Decal would go to the front, and the way this thing catches, that keyed hole must be these two things here that are keyed to go with that keyed hole. Oh, look at this thing sticks out when you turn it. I guess that would make it catch, wouldn't it? So that must be how they work. Turn the blade a little underneath to turn the motor to mesh. Turn it, so let's put the 10mm nuts back on and go to the carburetor. Be gentle with everything on here. It's like a I think you could strip about anything without even putting much force to it. Snug. Only as snug as you need anything. I won't even use this. Do it with the ratchet. And then later on, I'll put this thing back up through the handlebar. But it would start by putting your foot on like I was doing it, so I'm not worried about that. nuts away. I know I need 11 millimeter to put that up on the handlebar later. I write metric on here so I don't keep grabbing the other set. Now to start on the carburetor. I probably should have left the 10 on there. Move this other lawnmower out of the way here a little. Okay, turn this a little so we can see the carb. Working right in that area. Okay, 10 millimeter back. You need a little thing to put some of the screws. I'll use the top of the toolbox, which sometimes works if you don't kick it. Two nuts, one bolt. Unfortunately, I just put gas in here. I guess I thought it would start. I bought those pinch things. So here, here's this hose goofy thing here. I guess it's the, I guess I do have a siphon thing on here. That's right, I pushed this 10 times, still didn't start. Let's take this off and see what happens. Won't come off. Gotta get a piece of wood and block the wheel on this lawnmower. Okay, I've got it about ready to come out. Right there. Just kept tugging on it back and forth. There. Here's the carb. Good spring. Those, gotta remember those two things are hooked like that. It's working off the throttle here. So the throttle has the spring here and the linkage up on the top hole. That's specially bent to drop down and go over. So the linkage goes in the top, choke goes in the bottom. And I'm sure you couldn't interchange them, but I'm just saying it to myself. So now I wrote choke on her that way, so let's watch it in there. Yeah, I'm looking in the hole. Looking in the hole now. I pushed the choke ahead. Now you can watch it shut. So I wrote that correctly. Choke that way. So when it's back, it's open. It runs open, of course. But what chokes it when you start it? I just don't know what it is that chokes it when you start it. Maybe since I got this thing tied down, maybe it's something to do with that doesn't choke it. But anyway, it's not the choke. It's not because it doesn't choke, because I choked it manually and I pumped this gas I pumped this gas probably 5 or 10 times. It will run on starting fluid, but then as soon as it runs out, it kills. So we're going to go through those things I was telling you. So the tube, when you put it back in, if I do get it out, goes back in with this end first. It doesn't have those two things. That would be on the side of the jet. Then the other one's the slow jet. And a flat spot will look to see that it goes towards the carburetor body. And I always call this thing like the Aerosmith song, Sweet Emotion, but it looks like it's emulsion tube. Emulsion, not emotion. So I'll probably still call it an emotion tube. Oh well. But so the one tube is gonna be, take this tank off after I get the carb off, and then it's gonna be straight up. That's where that comes out. And this slow, see, the guy working on the internet on one of these was working on a tiller, and it was newer, but it was still a 139cc. He had that slow jet deal, but it was under one of these pumping things, and mine's separate over here on a hose. So these aren't exactly the same carburetor. So if we don't find this probably it right here. This is the only other thing I can see. I don't know. We'll look. If there's something to pop out where there's a jet to clean, like the slow jet that he says it is, because this isn't exactly like what I watched another guy do, so I can't copy him. But we can do that other tube, which should be identical. So I'm going to get this carb off. All it's going to be is finding a way to plug up the gas. Unhooking that right here. And then once I get it off these studs, pull the wires out, because I can maneuver the carburetor to get those off and just leave those hanging, leave the hose hanging. I'm going to go get one of my hose clamps that I bought that I don't know if it'll work or not, and try it. And then I'll bring it back when I'm working on the carburetor. Here's my 3 gas line pinchers. I guess I can roll out this big one. Probably roll out this one. How could this one work? When you shut it, it only hits on the M. This one don't even shut tight together. Must be some...
Must be for a big hose.
Must be for some really huge thing in there. Because this thing, when you pull it up, without anything in there, just goes to the M. Anyway, try the little one. I mean, could that really work? Trying it on that hose for trial. The other one's same size. Doesn't seem like it pinches it or cuts it. Okay, here we go. Then we'll slide that all the way back. Get my vice grip. Loosen up the hose Sometimes where I get gas all over, if it, I'll zoom it in so you can see me get gas all over if this thing don't work. So this is where I'm spreading it out, right here. Let's see. Look at that. No gas. It worked. Well, glad I bought those things then. Well, that don't mean the carburetor ain't full and gonna get all over me, so I'm gonna get this pulled off, move those around until I get them out, and get this over a little oil drain pan so I can dump the gas out of it. We'll just dump the gas back in the gas tank. Okay. Get this one off. Choke. That's off. Now, take a look at how this comes out. The studs don't help you none. Something's got to turn sideways and it just pop off. How about just straight up? No. I know. There's a slot there. Right there. There's a little cutaway. It'd probably have to lift up through that cutaway, is my guess. Have to lift up through that cutaway. So I'm going to shut this off and use both hands and try that. Yes, that's exactly what happened. Since this is a cutaway, you got to hold it straight because you're pinching it when you're pulling it out on those studs, out of those studs, and it's just dangling. So it's working against you a little. You just got to try to get it straight so it pulls up out of there. And I got it. So now I'm going to pull off this. We'll see if it's the same 10 millimeter that this other one was. Yep. Ooh. I'm going to get that with the ratchet. Jeez, I tightened it good. There. Okay. Yeah, now the gas is dripping out here. I should have had my gas cap off. No. Well, that stuff will evaporate, but... Yeah, as soon as you loosen this bottom nut, it all spills out immediately. So I didn't have my container or my gas cap off. I was going to put it back in the tank. Oh well. But it's always spotless. And see, the needle and seat are never stuck. They're never stuck. That's never the problem. Okay, so let me see if I can point this out. Inside there, if you look way inside there, you'll see that little copper thing sticking up in there. That's the end of the emulsion tube. And that's the one end of it. The other end's in this inside there. So I'm going to get that jet nozzle thing out of there, jet out of there, and then pull out the tube and see how dirty it is, then put her back in. Well, I've got a wider screwdriver. What you got to do, see how screwdrivers seem to get wide, like a wedge? So you got to grind off that wide part right there, so you have the wide part as you go straight in. And I left the one, seemed like I have to grind one every time. And you want as wide as you can get on the end, not like this one. I had a wider one, I think I broke it loose with, and then I thought I didn't, but I did, so this little one that doesn't scrape is turning it, so good enough. I can get that out of there. By just dumping it here, I think. Nope, still in there. Keep an eye on this float if I'm going to leave it dangle. Huh. Just sits there. There, it's closer. I guess you just keep hitting it. Close. There's it. See it? Just dropped out. Let's take a look at that first. Yeah, this is not plugged. Let me look up at the sunlight. This is the thing I actually drilled out a little. It's not plugged. But I never took that emulsion tube out of there. So I'm just going to go in there with something and press down on it and see if I can get it to come out of there so we can see if that's clean. Maybe I better take this needle out. I'll probably end up dropping it, so I suppose I'll take it out. There's a spring on this. Okay, I got that out. Oh no, this is different than the one on the internet. Let me make sure I know how this is going to go back on. Okay, it looks like it's just a little thing, and it's just going to slide on the end. And there's that little pin in there, I guess. That's what puts pressure to keep it from falling right off. But I'll get that when I put it together. That must be all it is. Set that down, set that down. Hopefully taking it off. I mean, I hope I get that back on and everything. The seat looks clean down in there. Take a Q-tip. But the seat's working good. But I want to check that. I want to check that tube. So I'm going to have to find some kind of bigger screwdriver to push down in here with. I'll do that off camera. Well, I went in there with this, and I thought it was going to be some sticky thing, but I put it in edgeways and pushed down on it, Now it's already out of sight. So I'll just kind of bang down on it here, see if it comes out. It does. Okay, it's coming out like this with the double ring thing on this end and the single thing on that end. These all look spotless. So that's not my problem, but I'll check them out here anyway. Now there's nothing in any of these. Everyone that just pokes through with no interference. I turned it 180 and now there's 3 more to do, but there's nothing in any of them. Definitely don't put anything like this in your needle and seat to clean it, just a Q-tip. Put a mark on there. Now I don't see any problem with this thing. I dropped it back in the correct direction. I guess I have to find a better screwdriver to snug this up with. Gosh, is it still turning? Yeah, I'm finally at the end. It's way in there. Oh, I snugged it a little enough. I don't want to make it hard to take out the next time to clean. Now, we gotta find out if there's that slow idle thing. Which is, might be something to do with this here. If it is, this thing would have to screw out. I'd probably have to count the turns. So here's 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put back in 1, 2, 3. I should take it in to see how many it is, not out. So 1. It's barely 1, and it already puts pressure. So it's a hollow hole there where this screws in. It's just threaded all the way through the body. So now I can pull this thing up, I guess. Yep, here it comes. It's supposed to have O-rings on it. Yeah, there it is. The 3 O-rings. Now I have to check to see if that's clean. Something tells me that'll be clean too, and every time I start it, I just have to take the bowl off, put it back on to get it to start to use this lawnmower. And if that's the case, I'm ready for a different motor. My littlest wire of my feeler gauge, or my tip cleaner, torch tip cleaner, wouldn't go through there. I think it's my 9-gauge string from my guitar. I found a broken string. I went down to get a copper piece of wire from strand wire, but found this guitar string first, and I would have never thought of that, but it goes through there. And you look in the window, you can see it poke through there. So this is not plugged. So I'm going to put everything back together. It is not plugged, so I'm still in the twilight zone. Why every time I want to start this, it will not start by just giving it some choke. But probably from taking all this apart, it'll probably start this time. But then what about the next time? And I'm right back to the same thing. It just occurred to me what this screw does after you pop that. After you pop that slow jet back in, then you screw this plastic, well, I think it's plastic, yeah. And so what it is, it's just a plastic bolt that sticks out here and stop this from going idling any slower than you want it. So it's nothing to do with the jet. So then it was hard and it was out about one turn. About out to about there, so I'll just put it there. Okay, back together. Oh, I found the number on my carb. It's 1P65B. 1P65B. Did I leave it on record? Hope it was pointed at something. So now I got the thing dangling on there. So I'm going to hold it in an angle so it doesn't come off that little tab. Keep it on an angle while it drops in the seat. There we go. Now we get the little rad. Goes. Boy, it goes in so nice. There is no rust, anything, no corrosion. That I don't see what that gas has done to this after all these years. Nothing. It's so clean. I haven't put no cleaner in here. So now we just put this thing back on again. This bowl. Our gasket's still up in there. Isn't kinked or nothing. Now I'm going to see which way I want to point this little drain thing. Towards me, I guess. Okay, this little line was on the left side. So it goes on like that. Of course, the gas line comes on over there. So then if you want to get at that, turn it so it's pointing the front of the lawnmower. That's the way it is now. So it'd be pointing towards the little pump line. Let's get this 10 millimeter on here and get this tightened down. Okay, must be on the ratchet. Where's the ratchet? There it is. Just snug it up. Okay. The gasket's still on there. Push that back in, it's partway coming out. Now I gotta hook these things again. I guess I'll push the choke thing in, it's easier. I guess you just see my arm. I'll do it this way then. Uh-oh, come off on the other end. But I looked to see where that was, and it's in this hole on the shaft. So we're not worried about it. Okay. Probably come off even another time. So So that goes in that hole. This one gets, this one has to be parallel with the opening, and it gets shoved down. Oop. It's going to be my hardest thing to do. Ah, I heard it click. I guess that's what you want, is it to click. It's not letting me put it on there though. Oh, what was that? Oh, now it's working, but it was sure kinked there somehow. Whatever popped. That gas cap back on there. Get bugs in that. Or dirt.
If I had to do it over, I think I'd get the jet a little tighter and look for a better screwdriver. Who knows? Maybe that loosened up on me last time and it don't work good if the jet loosens up.
Well, get this clamp back on. I guess I loosened it up to pull the gas line off. Okay, I should be able to let the gas go. Bring this thing back around. There's that little pump thing. I better get that on if I want to pump it. And then this little clamp, does it actually work with your fingers? Yes, it does. Okay, that's on there, which should pump gas.
Prime it, I guess is the proper word.
I left these on my toolbox cover. Yes, I did. One. Two. To ratchet back on, so don't strips on. Snug them enough so it don't rattle off. I don't know. Shall run or not? Some duct tape. Well, it's back together, so I'm going to get it on the ground. See what happens. Started on first pull. So, away I go. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.